All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something truly massive, a spiritual library that's been around for over 2,000 years. So, what's inside? Let's take a journey into the PÄli Canon.
Just think about it for a second. What if you had a 2,500-year-old guide to the human mind? And I don't mean some dusty old relic on a shelf. I'm talking about a living, breathing manual for navigating the complexities of your own life, right here, right now.
Well, that's pretty much what the PÄli Canon is. You'll also hear it called the Tripitaka, which literally means the three baskets. It's the foundational scripture of Theravada Buddhism, and that whole three baskets idea, that's our key to unlocking this whole thing.
So, here's our map for today's journey. We're going to look inside each of those three baskets. First up, the basket of discipline, basically the rules for living together. From there, we'll dive into the basket of discourses, which is packed with core teachings. Then we'll peek into the basket of analysis for some seriously deep philosophy. And to wrap it all up, we'll see how it all clicks together as this incredible blueprint for life.
Okay, let's start with our first basket, the Vinaya Pitaka, or the basket of discipline. You can think of this as the community's handbook, the very foundation that allows a group of people to live together in harmony while they focus on their spiritual practice.
Now, you might be thinking these are going to be some really abstract, lofty moral codes, right? But what's so fascinating is that they were born from super specific real-life situations. Take this one, for example. Some thieves stole sugarcane, got what they wanted, and tossed the rest. Later, some monks found it and ate it, figuring, hey, waste not, want not. But the Buddha ruled it was a major offense because it was still technically stolen property.
So right there, that little story shows you how these rules actually grew over time. They weren't just handed down from on high all at once. Which leads to the big question, right? How did they evolve?
It turns out the Vinaya developed almost like case law, which is pretty cool. It followed this simple organic pattern. First, some kind of incident would happen. A monk would do something questionable. Then the issue would get brought to the Buddha for a final say, and based on that specific situation, a formal rule would be established to guide everyone in the future. It was a living, breathing document.
And the scope here, it's just incredible. Of course you've got the big ones, the major no-nos like theft and killing, but it also gets right down into the nitty-gritty of everyday life. We're talking about rules for resolving arguments, how to wear your robes, when you're allowed to use medicine, even regulations for building your hut. It even forbids monks from acting as a matchmaker. It's basically a complete operating system for a community.
All right, on to our second basket, the Sutta Pitaka. If the Vinaya is the community's foundation, you could say the suttas are the heart of the whole thing. This basket is packed with thousands of teachings, dialogues, and amazing stories, all coming from the Buddha and his senior disciples. This is where you find the really deep philosophical core of the teachings. For instance, check this out. It gets right to the point. Anything that's impermanent is ultimately a kind of suffering or unsatisfactoriness. And if it's unsatisfactory, it can't really be a permanent me or I. It's a direct instruction on how to change your very perception of reality.
But it's not all heavy philosophy like that. The suttas are also full of hundreds of these things called Jataka tales, stories of the Buddha's past lives. For instance, there's this one quote from a fable that's basically about why you shouldn't trust a drunk jackal. Ha! It just goes to show, these simple moral stories were meant for everyone, making the teachings accessible on every level.
And on top of that, the discourses are full of these brilliant intellectual debates. One of the most famous is when this Greek king, Melinda, hits the sage Nagasena with a real head-scratcher. When someone is reborn, is it the same person who died, or someone completely new? It's a classic paradox.
And Nagasena's reply? Oh, it's just a work of art, a masterpiece of analogy. He compares the process to a lamp flame burning through the night. Is the flame at midnight the same as the flame at dawn? Well, no, but it's not totally different either. It's one single, unbroken continuity. See? It's just a beautiful way to explain a really tricky concept about existence. Okay, time for our third and final basket. And this one's the most complex. It's the Abhidhamma Pitaka, the basket of analysis. If the suttas were the main course, think of the Abhidhamma as the graduate-level seminar.
the advanced research wing of this whole library.
So what's the difference between this and the suttas? Well, here's a great way to think about it. The suttas are kind of like stories and dialogues about a forest, told in conventional everyday terms. But the Abhidhamma? That's like a super detailed botanical field guide to that same forest, identifying every single plant, its properties, and how it relates to everything else. It's all about breaking reality down to its absolute fundamentals. It literally takes a single moment of your experience and just pulls it apart. It analyzes one tiny flash of consciousness into this whole web of dozens of distinct mental factors that are all happening at once. Things like contact, feeling, perception, and intention. The goal is to create this incredibly precise, almost microscopic map of the mind, stripped of all our usual stories and labels. So we've got the rules for living, the stories and teachings, and this super deep analysis. Now they might sound like three totally separate things, right? But they're not. They are all designed to work together as one cohesive, integrated path. The whole Pali Canon maps perfectly onto what's known as the threefold training. You see how it works? The Vinaya, the basket of rules, provides the foundation of discipline, or sila. Then the suttas give you the teachings for concentration, or samadhi, for training the mind. And finally, both the suttas and that hyper-detailed Abhidhamma help you develop wisdom, or panya. They all depend on each other. You can't really have one without the other.
And there you have it, the whole thing in a nutshell. You've got the Vinaya, the rules for a harmonious community so you can actually practice. You've got the Sutta with the direct teachings and stories to guide you on the path. And you've got the Abhidhamma for that incredibly deep analytical understanding of reality. Three baskets, all working toward one goal.
But you know, after all that, this huge, ancient library brings us right back to something incredibly personal and urgent. This quote from the suttas really says it all. It's a reminder that this isn't just some intellectual exercise. It's a call to action, right now, because our time is short. We can't make a deal with death.
So, the Pali Canon, the Tripitaka, it's not just some record of the past. It's a 2,500-year-old blueprint for the human mind. It's been offered for generations. And that really just leaves one final question for you. What are you going to build with it?